This 9-game homestand continues here in Cincinnati, and the Reds got off to a pretty good start, winning 2 of 3 against the San Francisco Giants to try to continue that tonight against the Houston Astros. Reds and Astros coming up on Fox Sports Ohio. And a pleasant good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Couch along with Chris Welsh. Welcome to Reds Baseball. Tonight, the middle series of this 9-game homestand. The Houston Astros in town, their final year in the National League. And while this is game 20 for both these ball clubs, the Reds going with Mike Leake have not had to make a change in the rotation as of yet. But, Chris, you cannot say the same thing for this Houston ball club.
Well, the Astros just put a player on their disabled list this afternoon, a guy right-hander named Weiland who was supposed to pitch. He will be taking his place by Wandy Rodriguez, the old Reds nemesis for so many times. He's pitched and pitched well against the Reds. They'll also face Lucas Harrell. That'll be a matchup against the #1 pitcher on the staff for the Reds and Johnny Cueto. And Bud Norris will go against Matt Lato. So you got to be really feeling good about the way the Reds are set up their pitching in this rotation anyway. After Mike Leake tonight, and he's due for a good outing, you've got the #1 and 2 guys in the rotation.
Well, let's take a look specifically then at tonight's game and start with Wandy Rodriguez. As you said, boy, it seems like the Reds are facing this guy 2 and 3 times every year.
Well, obviously, when you're going to play a team 18 times, you're going to face this guy an awful lot, and he's pitched very well against the Reds. You see what he has right there, 4 earned runs in 25 innings. You know, he's in his last 5 games he's pitched against the Reds. In 4 of those games, he has given up a total of 5 runs. So he's pitched really well against the Reds, but he's not been able to get much in the way of run support, and consequently has not had a lot of wins against the Reds. Mike Leake, well, after getting beat around the last couple of times out, you figure he's pretty good and due for a start that was going to get him deep into a ball game. He pitched well, but only after he had a very bad inning. I think he gave up 4 runs in 1 inning against the Cubs. He liked to be a little bit more unpredictable early in the count, and I think that's what the Cubs did to him last time. He threw a lot of first-pitch fastballs. He's got to stay away from that. He's a strike thrower, yes, but you can't throw first-pitch fastballs to everybody up there.
Well, the Reds have won 2 series in a row. They try to get off to a good start in this one tonight. When we come back, one of the hottest Reds going now, the right fielder, Jay Bruce.
broadcast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Fans coming in, a little bit overcast here at the ballpark tonight on this Friday evening. Tonight's weather report brought to you by Thompson Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drain Cleaning. And with more on that, WKRC Channel 12's Tim Hedrick.
It is vastly important in the arena of sport, and in particular in baseball, that we have a very short memory. Don't let last night's terrible loss ruin everything, because if you win 2 out of 3 of every series, you're going to win the pennant. Increasing cloud cover tonight, down to 51 by the time you head home. So go to the wall and go to the wall hard and bring another victory home. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio.
Jay Bruce 3 of 4 in the game yesterday for the Reds, Chris, and he had a pretty good series against the Giants.
Well, I'll tell you what, the first few games that Jay Bruce took the field, he really wasn't doing very well, but maybe as it gets closer and closer to the month of May, you know what he did last year? He was the best player in all of baseball during the month of May last year. Maybe he needs to be close to that month in order to get hot. He certainly has been very hot lately. First 12 games under 200. In fact, under 190. Last 6 games, here he is up over 400. He's hitting home runs. He's driving them in. Jay Bruce is in the ball game tonight. He's not had a lot of luck with the Astros starter, but still, if he's beginning to see the ball, it really doesn't matter who's on the mound.
Well, Jay Bruce, one of the many in the lineup tonight. Game 20 of the 2012 season. First of this 3-game set, Reds and the Astros. Astros from Great American Ballpark. Brad Mills in his 3rd season as the head man of this Houston ball club. And here's the lineup card that he puts out there for this Friday night. Jordan Schaefer, Jose Altuve, and J.D. Martinez, the top 3. Then the middle 3, Carlos Lee, the longtime veteran, Jed Lowry and Brian Bogasevic, Chris Johnson, Jason Castro, and batting 9th and pitching, Wandy Rodriguez. That's the lineup that Mike Leake will face tonight.
He makes start number 4 on the year. The right-hander went to Arizona State University looking for his first win on the year. This might be the night for Leake.
He delivered low and outside to the left-handed hitting Jordan Schaefer, the former Atlanta Brave, for ball 1. This game and this series underway from GABP. Leake fields his position well always and fields that easy ground ball, and so a 1-3 putout gets us started. We take a look at the Reds defensively behind Mike Leake. Brought to you by your Ford dealers. Ludwig, Stubbs, and Jay Bruce, the outfield. Roland Cozart, left side. Phillips, Votto, right side. Mesoraco catches Mike Leake tonight. Chris, you mentioned it in the open, the last time out for Mike Leake. Pretty good outing, except for that one inning, the second, when he gave up 4.
Well, you know, we've said that a lot about starters throughout the first part of the season right here, Jim. And what happens is when you go out and give up a big number to the opposition early in the ball game, it's awfully easy for that offense then to go to sleep, and you put up some pretty good innings. But Mike Leake did that his last time out against the Chicago Cubs. They were very aggressive against him. They jumped on the first couple of pitches in seemingly every at-bat in that second inning where they scored 4 runs. Now, it'll be interesting to see what the Astros do tonight, because I do know that Mike Barnett, their hitting coach, and Brad Mills have implored upon this very young Astro team, be patient, work the count, don't go up there too aggressive.
Altuve fouls it away. He's at 2 balls and 1 strike. This is a young man who comes in second in the league in hitting. Young guy that came up last year. Some A-ball and double-A is where he spent most of the year. And, boy, he's done a heck of a job for them. He's second in the league in hitting right now.
Well, he is. He's one of these guys that either gets a hit but to get on base or he doesn't get on base. Does not walk very much. He's taking a few more pitches this year than last year. But he's a swinger.
He swings at this one and pops it up to Joey Votto. And there are 2 men out. This is, of course, the last year for the Houston Astros in the National League. As part of the new agreement, they will go to the American League Western Division next year. Talking with Joe Patini, their bench coach, down there in the dugout prior to the game, he said, boy, we're going to have an awful lot of time on the West Coast beginning next year.
Yeah, they're going to find out really how big a difference it is between that central time zone that Houston is and that West Coast zone. Same thing the Texas Rangers go through. It'll actually help the Rangers and the Astros to have 2 teams in the state of Texas, because right now the Rangers are a team that every time they play in their own division, they're going into a different time zone.
They've got Seattle, they have Oakland, they have the LA Angels of Anaheim in that division along with Texas. And next year then they'll have this Houston ball club, and that'll even out the leagues in at 15 and 15, necessitating, of course, interleague play every day of the season.
You know, from a travel standpoint, people don't appreciate how easy the Reds have it centrally located in the Central Division.
Sure.
I mean, they're a 45-minute plane flight to 3 of their opponents. The longest one is a 2-hour flight to Houston. Houston's going to make a long flight to Seattle next year when they get that American League.
Charging and moving to his right, Cozart. He makes the play and the throw, and a nice and easy 1-2-3 first for Mike Leake. Was brought to you by the 2012 Ford F-150 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. by Cincinnati USA. Let us be your travel guide to Cincinnati USA. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Game time is Skyline time. Stop by your favorite Skyline Chili today. One of the bats heating up for the Reds during this homestand. Their third baseman, the veteran Scott Rowland. Home run Wednesday night. Home run yesterday in his lone at bat. He is indeed in the lineup today. And here's Dusty's full nine. Cozart, Stubbs, and Votto. Phillips, Ludwig, and Rowland. Bruce down to the 7th spot for the first time this year. Mesoraco and Leake against Wandy Rodriguez.
33-year-old left-hander. The Reds have seen him an awful lot. Originally a native of the island of the Dominican Republic, Santiago Rodriguez, his hometown, and a left-hander that really keeps it rather simple. He only throws 3 different pitches: a fastball, a curveball, and a changeup. He's resisted the temptation to start cutting the ball and sinking the ball and doing different things, but he's had a very successful major league career. Just a couple of games under 500 in his overall record.
Yeah, 74 and 77 in his career, and this is start number 24 against the Reds in that career. Smashed to third by Cozart. Picked nicely down there on a dive. That's Johnson, but his throw is low, and that one caught the leg, it looked like, maybe the shin of Carlos Lee, their first baseman, and he is down. Cozart aboard, and now out comes Brad Mills, the manager of the Astros, followed quickly by their trainer to look at the veteran Lee.
I can't imagine that the ball hitting him in the shin would give him that kind of problem. Must have twisted his ankle or his knee. We'll take a good look at camera shot of the dive at third base. Knocking the ball down is Chris Johnson down there. If he's able to come up, throw the ball on the money, he'll have Cozart. The very end of the play right there.
Boy, it's just really tough to tell what may have happened as of right there.
Right there, he rolled his left ankle over.
Yeah.
It really didn't happen during the play itself. It was after the ball got away from him. And as he began his pursuit, tried to turn around when he located the ball behind him. And that's his left ankle that you could see clearly in that replay that he rolled over on.
Well, he has started
some kind of pain.
Yeah, he has started every one of their games, all 20 games at first base this year. A fellow really has played much more outfield in his career. Now they'll get him on his feet. Cozart, by the way, is credited with an infield single. Brad Mills looking over his lineup card as to what he may want to do if Lee is not able to continue here.
Let's take one more look at how he injured his leg. If you take a look at his left leg as he plants it right down here, that's where he rolls over it. Ouch. And you see him doing the hopscotch from there. And they're going to give him some time down there to see if he can't stay in the ball game. One of the few veterans the Astros have still. It's a ball club whose hitting team averages just over 27 years of age, one of the youngest teams in all of baseball. And they'll even get younger if he's able to, or if he's unable to continue.
He's in the last year of a 6-year, $100 million deal with Houston, and they haven't always had a lot to put around him, but he always has produced. We'll take a look at the Houston defense behind Wandy Rodriguez, presented by your Ford dealers, J.D. Martinez, Jordan Schaefer, and Brian Bogasevic in the outfield. Across the infield, Chris Johnson, Jed Lowry, Jose Altuve, and Carlos Lee, with Jason Castro catching Wandy Rodriguez. And coming out of their dugout is Matt Downs. He's a utility infielder. He's going to take over at first base, so a big bat for them. Carlos Lee going to leave this game. Well, this guy's a warrior. He's played in 155 plus games in in 4 of the last 5 seasons with the Astros, but he's out. Matt Downs will take over. runner aboard for the Reds is the shortstop, Zach Cozart. Here's Drew Stubbs. His average all the way up to 270 with a homer and 7 driven in. Stubbs had a 6-game hitting streak earlier this year. He's now hit in 4 in a row. Not done much in his career against Wandy Rodriguez. Johnson will go to second. They'll get 1, but no way they'll get Stubbs at first, and so he takes the place of Cozart on the bases. Batter will be Joey Votto. Joey in the game yesterday was 1 out of 5, and in the Giants series 2 for 11, but he had a big blow late in the game on Wednesday, that RBI double. Closed out that 4-run 7th, and that come from behind 4-2 win. Well, there's a major, isn't there, Chris, discrepancy between these two clubs and what they decide to do in terms of running the bases.
Well, you're not kidding about that. The Astros are very aggressive. They've attempted a lot of stolen bases. The Reds, even though they did that a lot in spring training, have not done very much of that at all during the season. They've attempted only 9 stolen bases on the year. Of course, 3 successful stolen bases by the guy you're looking at right there in Drew Stubbs. And you can run on Wandy Rodriguez. So far this season, they've attempted 3. The opposition has. They've been successful every time. Overall, last year, they stole 20 bases, the league did, against only 3 throwouts. And he wasn't always like that. There was a time that Wandy Rodriguez had a very good pickoff move. You have to be very careful down there at first base. But he's not throwing over nearly as much as he used to, and I guess he's just simply not worked on that move as much anymore.
Votto comes in with a homer, 10 runs batted in. Now he's in the hole, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pretty good career success, over 300 against Wandy Rodriguez. Well, this guy, Rodriguez, has gotten off, as Chris mentioned earlier, to a great start. 4 starts, 3 quality starts. Well, the team is 1 and 3. The runner goes, and the Astros execute. It goes 1-3 to the shortstop, and that is Lowry. So it goes Rodriguez to Downs to Lowry. Caught stealing of Stubbs. 1-3-6 2 out.
Even though that was a pickoff by the pitcher, because Drew Stubbs was running on the pitch, they'll award that as a caught stealing rather than a pitcher pickoff. And you know, the way a lot of guys like to steal against a left-hander is that they'll go on the first move. As soon as Wandy Rodriguez picked his leg up, that's the time you go. If you pick the wrong pitch and he decides to come to first base, most speedy runners continue to go on, hope the first baseman can't make a good throw.
Full count now to Joey Votto with Brandon Phillips waiting on deck. Well, there's been a concern amongst people following this club about Joey Votto and the strikeout total that he's put up this year. He's 1 for 5 in yesterday's game, struck out 3 times. He struck out 1/3 of the time up this year, which is much higher than his career strikeout number. And he gets one there, called out by Marvin Hudson, the home plate umpire, and the first inning complete. The Astros. Reds trying to continue it. Has been a good homestand. They won 2 out of 3 from the Giants, and by all rights thought they should have swept that series. Gave up the 3-run homer in the 9th inning yesterday afternoon to Angel Pagan against Sean Marshall, giving the Giants to come from behind 6-5 win, and so they're trying to get off to a good start here against this Houston club, a team that they have dominated. Last year they beat them 9 out of 15 times. Matt Downs in there for Carlos Lee after Lee turned that left ankle at the end of the at bat by Cozart down at first base. He's out. Downs is in. Downs, in terms of playing first base, 14 big league games prior to this year, a little bit more than that in the minor leagues. He's in the cleanup spot here because of the injury to Lee.
They picked him up the way they picked up a number of players on this roster, through the waiver wire. They got him off the waivers from San Francisco a couple of years ago. As you said, a couple of cups of coffee with San Francisco, on and off player there. But certainly you lose a lot of offense when Carlos Lee's not there. Just this year for Lee, 13 runs batted in, a couple of home runs, and on base percentage of .350. And boy, Brad Mills has not only seen his club get younger, but also some of his best players injured. He's had to make a couple of roster moves today. As far as we can tell, they're one of the youngest clubs around the major leagues. They've got 2 players on this team that they were acquired through the Rule 5 draft, so the Astros have to keep them on the major league roster all year long. And they've got one other player they got on the waiver wire. They got to keep him up all year long.
Bruce on a soft line drive to right handles that ball for out number 1. Tonight's storylines brought to you by Elk and Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. And here's what we were talking about in terms of the Reds dominating the Astros in terms of series. Only the Rays over the Blue Jays and the Tigers over the Indians have done better than the Reds, having defeated the Astros in 7 straight home series.
In fact, they beat them 11 out of the last 13 series altogether. So it's really been a case of domination lately for the Reds over the Astros, especially here at Great American Ballpark, where the Reds have run their record of 17-5 against the Astros when they get them here in Cincinnati. So Dusty Baker sent the limos out to meet that Astros ball club the other day when they came in town. See if it worked.
Here's part of that trade now with Boston. Jed Lowry hits a high fly ball to center that Stubbs settles under. So 2 men out in this inning. 5 up, 5 down by Mike Lee. They gave up Mark Melancon, did the Houston Astros, who had been closing for them. They send him to Boston and get 2 players. One is Lowry, the other is the pitcher that yesterday was placed on the disabled list, Kyle Weiland, who was initially supposed to start tonight, but he has a right shoulder strain, so he goes on the DL. They called up Fernando Abad, a left-handed reliever, to take his place. Also, Marwin Gonzalez has gone on the paternity list, and Brian Bixler has come up, and it's Gonzalez you were talking about, a Rule 5er. This is Brian Bogusevic.
Yeah, Bogusevic is trying to do, and he's done pretty successfully, really, one of the toughest things there is to do in all the major leagues, which is start out as a pitcher and then convert yourself into an everyday player. You see it much more often the other way around, where a young man gets signed as a catcher or an infielder. He can't hit, but he's got a great arm. They put him on the mound. Next thing you know, he's in the major leagues as a pitcher. But it's a lot harder to do it the other way around.
Goes out with a backhand stop and throw, and safe the call at first base. Votto was off the bag when he caught the ball. Then when reaching for it, right on top of it down there, the crew chief, Tim McClellan. It almost looked like Cozart slipped a little bit short also there.
Well, he went ways to his right, but he had plenty of time. He just throws it. You see, Votto's going to be off the bag when he catches it. He hopes to put his foot on the bag, and I don't think he ever really reached the bag. He kicked up some dirt. And that's a good call. That is a very good call down there by the first base umpire, Tim McClellan. I mean, because there was only about an inch of difference between his foot and that bag, and McClellan saw that daylight and did not give him the benefit.
And they're still mulling over whether that is a hit for Bogusevic or the possibility of an error, and they say it is indeed a base hit for Brian Bogusevic, who came in hitting .207. So now it's Chris Johnson, their third baseman, 7-hitter in the lineup. Average 274 with 7 runs batted in.
Chris Johnson, one of those ongoing projects for the Astros. He's had tremendous power, but he swings and misses so often. He's walked 1 time against 20 strikeouts this year. You talk about creating a cool breeze at Minute Maid Ballpark. He's your man.
There goes the runner. Here's the throw, and they do not get him out at second base. Bogusevic gets his 3rd steal. Boy, you talked about it, Chris. There's not a person really other than Lee when he was in there that's in the lineup that can't do some running.
Well, Brad Mills knows that this is a team that is undermanned as far as home runs and power, that they've got to do everything they can to try to put runs on the board. They've had a lot of games in which they've had double-digit in hits, but they've been singles. So he says we can get 3 hits in an inning and still have the bases loaded, nobody in. So they're trying to push the running game, take whatever advantage they can of the offense, and I guarantee you with a rookie behind the plate in Devin Mesoraco, they're going to test this young man and find out whether he can throw runners out or not.
Now 2 balls and 2 strikes as Leake looks for his first strikeout, looks for the final out here in the top of the 2nd. Astros actually had a day and a half off. They played and won at Milwaukee on Wednesday afternoon. They were here in Cincinnati in time for the Reds' Wednesday night game against the Giants, and then enjoyed the off day yesterday as the Reds played here again against San Francisco. They come in at 7-12, 5 games under 500, and just 1 game ahead of the Cubs for 5th place in the National League's Central Division. 3-7 on the road. Lost the first 2 games of that series at Milwaukee, then won 7-5 on Wednesday. Rolen will square up and throw a strike to Joey Votto. On at first is Chris Johnson. Then the top of the 2nd comes to a close. The Astros leave a runner. And then look forward later to our Miller Time moment of the game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Hey, Reds fans, if a Reds home run hits the Toyota Tundra sign during tonight's game, Richard Knott from Mason, Ohio will win this beautiful new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark. You can register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Phillips to start the bottom of the second against Wandy Rodriguez.
Phillips is among several of those Reds that have had a hard time figuring out Wandy over the years. 11 hits and 45 ABs. That's a .244 batting average. 1 homer and only 4 runs batted in. It's really amazing. If you look at the numbers inside the numbers, you'd think that Rodriguez would have a tremendous win-loss record against the Reds, but he seems to pitch well, but just well enough to lose.
Wandy faced the Reds 3 times last year. The team went 1-2 against them, and in fact he's lost 3 of the last 4 starts he has made against Cincinnati, despite 4 of those outings being quality starts. Into right field, long run, not going to get there. Bogusevic, and a base hit for Brandon Phillips, and so the Reds second baseman is aboard. He's now hit safely in 6 of his last 7 games, and the Reds get the leadoff man on.
Sometimes you hit it real hard right at somebody, have nothing to show for it, and other times you get it right in on the thumbs and it falls in no man's land. Puts a smile on Brandon's face.
And whatever he said, a smile on the face of crew chief Tim McClellan down there.
He's a lot harder guy to get the smile than Brandon is.
Indeed. Ted Barrett is a second base umpire. Your good friend, Chris.
Yeah.
Ryan Runge is at third, and our man calling the balls and strikes tonight is one Marvin Hudson. And
11 and a half years in the major leagues. Marvin from Marietta High School in Marietta, Georgia. His number, Jim, is 63.73.
There's that 63 something again.
Yeah, which means you're right in the middle of the mix as far as calling the percentage of pitches that you see strikes. The low end is down around 59. The high end is about 65, maybe 66. Marvin's middle of the road, just the way he likes it.
Ludwig at 223 home runs. He's driven in 10. In terms of home runs on this team, he is second to the 4 hit by Jay Bruce. He's tied for second in RBIs. He and Votto one behind Bruce as well. He's done a great job in terms of hitting in the clutch this year. When you talk about Ryan Ludwig this year, runners in scoring position, he has 3 hits and 7 runs batted in.
Now, that's one of the reasons why the Reds went out to get him. They needed someone to pick off what they lose when Ramon Hernandez was not brought back.
Swings and misses here, and he's a strikeout victim. The first out here in the bottom of the second. Follow Fox Sports Ohio's coverage of the Cincinnati Reds with the MLB.com @Bat12 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, and Windows Mobile. Get live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights, and much more. Text @Bat to 31826 or visit Reds.com for details. And it's a smash, and safe back at first base is Brandon Phillips.
Boy, he's hitting the ball so much better. It's just seemingly overnight. A couple of nights ago, hit a home run off the facing of the second deck in left center field. Hit another one yesterday. First time he swings the bat tonight, hits a rope. I think all those naysayers about Scott Rowland may be just a little too premature in spelling his demise. I think this young man, young by my standards, old by the Red standards, but this guy's going to have a good year.
Here's Bruce with a runner on and 2 men out, and Dusty was queried about Bruce dropping to the number 7 spot in the lineup today for the first time, and one of the things he mentioned was his lack of success against Wandy Rodriguez.
1 for 26. I mean, does it need any more explanation than that?
A couple of years ago, he called Wandy Rodriguez his kryptonite. 13 strikeouts in those 26 at-bats.
Implying that he might be Superman? Wonder what happened to him after the movie went away.
You're on top of your game tonight. A couple of stints on radio, and you're back over here rolling. How'd you like that over there?
It's like stealing. If I was only getting paid, it would have been great.
Don't tell the Hall of Famer that.
What, he's getting paid?
I didn't say that. Bruce's first 3-hit game of the season yesterday.
That's the key for Jay Bruce to even try to settling up the score with Wandy Rodriguez. It'll take a while, but if he just lays off that pitch right there, it gives him a half a chance to swing at something that it resembles more of a hitter's pitch.
His 2-run homer in the 6th inning yesterday gave the Reds a 4-2 lead. It was his first home run since the opening series against the Miami Marlins. Might be great to see him do something here against Wandy Rodriguez, who has not allowed a home run yet this year after giving up a career high 25 a year ago.
The last couple of pitches of sequence, misses outside with a breaking ball, comes right in under Bruce's elbows with a fastball. Probably going to throw a 3-2 curveball right here. Up 6 with the fastball.
He strikes out. That's 14 times and 27 at bats. Strikeout by Rodriguez. On FoxSportsOhio.com, the NFL draft continues for the Bengals and the Browns, and of course the rest of the NFL. We've got all the coverage from draft headquarters throughout the weekend. Get it all on FoxSportsOhio.com. Presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. Third inning now. Mike Leake has set down 6 of the 7 that have come up there against him, and their catcher, Jason Castro, at the plate. Their other catcher is Chris Snyder, a fellow that they acquired in the offseason. Former Diamondback, former Pirate, now with this Houston club, but not in the lineup tonight. This is Castro hitting .244, driven in 5 runs. Castro missed all of last year with a right knee injury that required surgery. He's a former first-round pick by Houston some 4 years ago.
Well, that's a nice pitcher's pitch to get right there by Marvin Hudson. If you're Mike Leake and you see Marvin calling that low pitch, you might as well just live right down there around the shins all night long.
is really where he needs to be anyway, right?
Yeah, he is. I mean, he should get a lot of ground balls. He got 3 ground balls in the first inning. First couple of outs last inning, fly ball outs. But he'll get more grounders and flies when he's on.
Flare to left, and Castro is going to be aboard with a leadoff single here in inning number 3, the second Astros hit. That'll give Wandy Rodriguez a chance to bunt that runner along. Here's a rarity now. Wandy Rodriguez, a switch hitter. He'll bat from the left side here against Mike Leake. Does not have a hit this year. Does have an RBI and 1 sacrifice. Now he showed bunt, Chris, then pulled back. I thought he might show us the infamous Butcher Boy.
Well, he might. He's got so many guys charging him hard. Scott Rowland coming hard from third. Joey Votto very aggressive down third base. He's not a bad hitter. Hit 180 last year, 190 the year before that. Usually drives in 4 or 5 runs a year. Last year had 6 sacrifice bunts.
Here comes Rowland again from third.
Pitch out there. I like that play defensively. Because sometimes, you know, if you've got confidence that your pitcher can lay the bunt down and you've got a very aggressive defense, he may get the bunt down. Even a good bunt might field it into a double play. So you start the runner to stay out of that. But a pitch out, trying to sniff out if they were going to do that, pretty good idea defensively. I think Chris Spire calls those defensive signs. He's always perched at the top of the Reds dugout. Flashing signs of Devin Mesoraco.
Leake will field this ball, and Brandon gets over there to cover. That's a sacrifice pitcher to the second baseman covering. 1 out. Tonight's Ohio Lottery Mega Millions jackpot up to $88 million, drawing at 11 p.m. tonight. Mega Millions jackpot worth a cool $88 million. Top of the order now, and Jordan Schaefer. Jason Castro out at second base. Here's the former Brave Schaefer, whom the Astros actually acquired while he was hurt last year from the Atlanta Braves. He had a chip fracture in his left middle finger when he was acquired, and didn't actually make his Houston debut almost 3 weeks after that trade between the Astros and the Braves was consummated. That was the Bourne deal, Michael Bourne. Schaefer's a former 3rd round pick by the Atlanta Braves, made his big league debut at 21.
Got kind of an unusual batting style. Watch how Jordan Schaefer holds his hands very low down around his waist as he kind of sets up, and then just as the pitch is coming, gets his hands back there off the back shoulder where they ought to be. Almost challenging you to throw the ball in there on him. And he's always been a guy, when he was with the Braves, and he had a pretty good start to his major league career, but he would kind of slap the ball a little bit. Now they're trying to get him to be a little bit more aggressive with his swing rather than just trying to slap the ball in the outfield. They want to see if he can turn into somewhat of a gap hitter. Already this year he's got a couple of home runs.
He's been on base in every one of the 19 games that the Astros have played going into tonight, and that's despite the fact that he leads the National League in strikeouts with 27. Schaefer tapped one back to the mound his first time and takes a strike 3 called here, painting the inside corners leak.
There are not too many right-handed pitchers around that can throw that pitch consistently and as successfully as Mike Leake has shown us he can. Little two-seam fastball. He starts it inside. It's got such great movement on it. It comes right back over the plate. That's called a front door fastball, the one that Greg Maddux, I think he may have named it, or it was named after the pitch that he made so famous. Not easy to throw, but boy, when you get the feel of that pitch, that really opens some doors for you.
Well, here's the diminutive Jose Altuve, all 5'5" of him, 5'5", 170, 21 years old. They took a chance really on this guy and the man on deck, J.D. Martinez, late last year, Chris, and they figured, you know, we got nothing to lose. Let's try these guys out and see what they can do.
I mean, there's some organizations that wouldn't give a guy this height a chance to even put a professional uniform on.
Slicing into right, Bruce with a dive, and he can't get it and can't stop it, and that will go all the way to the wall. Run scores, making it 1-0. Altuve into third, standing. Castro scored, and a 1-0 Astros lead. Jay dove for that ball to try to make the catch, and then did not put a body on the ball.
Well, you're playing shallow anyway on Altuve. He doesn't drive the ball very deep to right field, so Jay Bruce is looking for a play just like this. And here comes what he was looking for, and he just actually dove and beyond that ball. And the ball went over his glove, and in the process was unable, as you said, to get his body in front of it, and he ends up on third.
J.D. Martinez, and he picks up Altuve with a shot into center and a base hit, and now it is 2-0 in favor of the Astros. Martinez gets his 19th RBI of the year. He came in tied for third in the National League. Altuve's ball, by the way, goes down as a triple and a run batted in. Yeah, you took a look at that replay. Jay actually dove under that ball, didn't he?
Hard to do.
Third triple of the year for Altuve. 2-0 Astros lead here in the top of the third. Again, a chance for Bruce, and this time he reaches up and makes the catch. Downs is out, and the Astros finish in the third, but they come up with a pair, jump in front early. On Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by the JTM Food Group, creating great dishes together with the food industry for over 30 years. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. for over 30 Toyota offers available now. Visit buyatoyota.com, including mobile, and by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Great overhead look. Great American Ballpark on the Ohio River here in Cincinnati. Astros have jumped in front 2-0 with the RBI triple by Altuve on the ball sinking into right field off the bat of Bruce. Rather, on the attempt to catch the ball by Bruce. He didn't catch it, didn't stop it, ended up all the way to the wall and right. And then the hit by J.D. Martinez made it 2-0. Now it's Mesoraco to get things started here in the bottom of the third. One of his 2 career home runs against the Astros last year came in this ballpark. He's hitting .280 on the year. 0 for 2 with an RBI during the Giants series. He's got a different look going tonight. Pant legs up near his knees. Usually he wears those all the way down. That's the Mike Leake look.
That used to be the look for the Cincinnati Reds, of course, back in the heydays, back in the 1970s and earlier than that. Nowadays, you're hard-pressed to find any player that's going to wear his pants above the ankles, and the Reds have back-to-back hitters coming up, throwbacks.
Mike Leake has the old stirrups on. There's strike 3 called. Marvin Hudson has that low strike zone going tonight.
That would look pretty good, and somebody who ought to know better than anybody that he's got that low strike zone going is Devin Mesoraco, the catcher. That ball definitely high enough. Remember, the low end of the strike zone is defined as the hollow of the knees, which is actually, you know, that area that is below the kneecap.
So here's Mike Leake.
Maybe if he didn't have those pants rolled up so high, he would have got the benefit of that strike.
Usually it's the other way around, people talk about.
Remember that Adam Dunn used to get rung up on that pitch a lot, and you know, he would say, hey, I'm 6 feet 5 inches tall. My knees are higher than the average guy. And I suggested to him, how about rolling those pants up to knee high? So I would never commit a fashion faux pas like that. Although I'm not sure if Dunn actually used the words faux pas. It was maybe a mistake that he used. But he gets the drift. Leake's got him right there, or pretty close to.
Like you could see there's strike 3 on Leake. You could see some of the elastic on the bottom of his pant leg there, which a lot of these guys cut out now.
It's like he stole Luke Brenneman's pants.
They cheer on the Reds when they take on this Astros bunch this coming Sunday, the 3rd and final game of the series. Make sure you take advantage of the Reds 4 for $48 ticket deal that includes 4 view-level tickets and a voucher for a free pizza. Plus, the first 8,000 kids 14 and younger receive a kids team baseball card set thanks to Cons. Don't miss Sunday family days with the Reds. 513-381-REDS or visit select Kroger locations or Reds.com for tickets. 3 straight strikeouts now for Wandy Rodriguez and 5 in the game. Zach Cozart led off the Reds first with that infield hit. That was the ball in which Carlos Lee turned his ankle running to get the baseball and had to leave the game. Matt Downs has taken over at first base for that club. Lee had started all 20 games at first, so Downs gets his first action at 1B this year. Rodriguez is just a strike throwing machine here tonight. 38 pitches, 23 strikes.
I mean, he's not an overpowering pitcher either. He does more, or as much anyway, with an 89 to 90 mile an hour fastball as anybody in the major leagues. It's fairly straight. It gets on you quickly. He's got kind of a fast arm, gets it up behind his ear quick. But he has got pinpoint control with that fastball. Curveball, changeup. Those are his only other pitches.
Jams Cozart here. Lifts a lazy fly ball to right field, which is handled by Bogusevic. And that's the first 1-2-3 inning of this game for Wandy Rodriguez. Number 8, Joe Moore. He finished second in 65 Rookie of the Year voting. The question is, who won the Rookie of the Year in 1965? Who won the Rookie of the Year, Chris, in 65? That's a tough one.
It's more than a tough one.
We may have to ask Josh for a little hint. Send us in the right direction.
He's pretty good at that,
yes.
Giving us hints, and he's also pretty good at selecting those questions that have something to do with maybe a team that's in here, maybe a player visiting, maybe a player from the team that the Reds are playing that night.
Good points, all.
There's some kind of a connection.
A tie-in, okay. One career all-star team. That doesn't help me in the least.
No, it doesn't. And you need a lot of help.
You know that. Jed Lowry gets himself a base hit, and the Stubbs, the speedy outfielder, cannot cut that ball off. And so Lowry's going to end up at second base with a double to start inning number 4 for Lowry. That's his second double of the year.
I really like the approach the Astros are taking tonight. I mean, if you're looking at it from a purely baseball standpoint, they're waiting on good hitters' pitches to hit. They're taking controlled swings. They're hitting the ball where it's pitched. And, you know, they're putting a lot of hits on the board. That was their 5th hit on the night. They've had a lot of hits. I mean, they played 19 games, and they've had 11 double-digit hit games. They're not scoring a lot of runs, but they're getting a lot of base runners.
Well, they had a very good offense a year ago, and it really hasn't changed much going into this year. They were 4th in the league last year in hitting, 3rd in the league in hits a year ago, and amongst the league leaders in stolen bases. And that's where you see them, albeit early here in 2012, 3rd in the league in hitting, tied with the Cardinals for the best on base percentage in the league going into tonight, 3rd in the league in runs scored, tied for 4th in the league in stolen bases. It's been their pitching last year and this year that has let them down. Big swing by Bogusevic, gonna miss. Blocked by Mesoraco. put it past Lowry to try to steal third, as Araujo has yet to throw out a would-be base stealer here in 2012. Hannigan has thrown out a pair. Reds do not get the call that time from Marvin Hudson. The count is even. Josh Hall, the producer of Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Any more hints on that AT&T question?
You're going to need a few extra hints, I can tell you that.
You already know the answer?
I'll give you a hint.
You looked it up?
I looked it up because I'm curious about certain things.
Managed for 6
That's a good hint right there. That should help you.
Would it have helped you, Chris?
I'll give you a hint that Josh will not give you, that he was a former Reds hitting coach.
That'll move the runner up as it's bobbled by Phillips, and he will not recover in time. And aboard is Brian Bogusevic. Phillips is going to be charged with an error.
Well, you're seeing some things tonight that you don't normally see. On the right side of the field for the Reds, you've had some defensive miscues. You've had Joey Votto not touching first base on a throw from Zach Cozart that cost Cozart an error. You had Jay Bruce slide under a line drive that went over his glove as he made a diving catch. And this one looked like it took a bad hop and got Brandon Phillips on his throwing thumb. He went down to get it. I mean, you can't do it much better than that for Brandon Phillips.
Yeah,
he went down on one knee to block it to make sure that if it did take a bad hop, it would go off his chest. It did that. And I think that, I'm not sure if it was the bounce originally that got him or whether it was that attempt to pick it up as he wanted to try to make something out of nothing and get the runner at first base. He may have scraped his hand on the ground.
We always teach youngsters to try to use two hands to field those baseballs, and Brandon had that right hand in there. Steve Bauman, the assistant trainer of the Reds, is out working on what appeared to be the right thumb of Brandon Phillips. Runner run over to third base. That was Jed Lowry. So it's first and third, no one out. Brandon charged with his first error. Reds is the team charged with their 14th. They are down to the middle of the pack now in terms of defensive teams in the National League this year. Committed 7 errors in the Chicago series. Series just completed against the Giants. They committed 2. Get one here so far early tonight.
Well, they're going to take him out of the ball game. I don't know whether we're going to take another look at it and see whether it was hurt as he was fielding the ball. I really can't tell if it's right here as he goes down to grab it. That doesn't look like he may have hurt his thumb. I'm not sure.
He went into the dugout, is now being attended to.
Looks like he may have split the skin between the thumbnail and the meat part of your thumb. And maybe they're just trying to clean it out. Steve Bauman, Paul Lassard, Tomas Veras.
All 3 trainers in on the action down there in the Reds dugout.
Now Matt Latos going to give some medical advice. That's a scary thought.
All right, Josh has one more hint for us in our AT&T trivia question. Throw it out there, Josh. Became an actor. That helps me 0. In fact, none of the hints really have helped me.
He was in Gilligan's Island and in the Batman TV series. Now that's a good hint, because I watched every Gilligan's Island episode at least twice.
Yeah, but your eyes were always on Ginger and Marianne.
You're right, mostly Ginger. Marianne on those episodes where Ginger wasn't in. He's going to stay in the game. That's good news.
Meanwhile, Houston already leading 2-0. Now have an opportunity for more with Chris Johnson at the plate. Bounced out to third his first time. Smokes this ball to left field, and Ludwig's not going to get it. One hops the wall. Scoring is Lowry. Bogusevic held at third. Into second with a run-producing double is Chris Johnson, his 8th RBI. And the Astros now lead 3-0 here in the 4th.
Chris Johnson gets a curveball right here. It looks like it hangs right there. I mean, center of the plate, center of the strike zone, and he just puts a pretty good swing on it right there, and he gets it up against the wall in left center field. Right now, Mike Leake, when he's missing right out over the plate, and the Astros are centering the ball up pretty good. 6 hits already in just 3+ innings for Leake.
Jason Castro, the catcher, will be the batter. Left-handed hitters. Brian Price talks things over. Mike Leake made the comments after the game in Chicago in which he pitched. That was the middle game of that series there, that he was too predictable early in the at-bats against some of those Cubs hitters, particularly in that 4-run second inning.
Well, I mean, there's one thing that you can say you're too aggressive, but I mean, on one hand, pitching coaches are constantly telling you, get ahead, throw the first pitch in there for a strike. But what they don't mean is throw a hitter's pitch, fastball with nothing on it in there. And you got to mix it up. But right now, Mike Leake's going through one of those times where he's getting that ball up in the zone and they're hitting it pretty good. He really has to live on the corners and on the knees.
Infield in halfway. It's second and third with nobody out. Houston already leading 3-0. Reds won 6 of 9 in this ballpark against the Astros last year. And as Chris mentioned earlier, they've won 11 of the last 13 series in this ballpark against Houston. Phillips will get that ball. His only play is to first as he throws out Castro. Scoring from third is Bogusevic. And it's been another 2-run inning, and it's now 4-0 in favor of Houston. Alfredo Simon now up in the Reds bullpen. Leake sitting at 61 pitches. There's Simon. Johnson also moved up on that play. Give Castro an RBI. Here's Wandy Rodriguez. Infield will move in all the way now. Took a hack at that ball, which was 3 feet inside.
He's actually lucky he didn't hit it, because if he did hit it, he probably would have hit it with his thumb.
Not overly happy with himself on that one.
He's happy with what he sees on the scoreboard right now.
With the infield in, Cozart has a long way to go to get to that ball, but on the fringe of the grass, he makes the catch. Rodriguez out, 2 men gone. Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week when Ryan Braun and the Brewers head to St. Louis to take on Matt Holliday and the Cardinals in a showdown between NL Central contenders. Fox Saturday Baseball tomorrow at 12:30 following MLB player poll. Right field and a base hit for Jordan Schaefer, and it's now been a 3-run Astro 4th inning, and it is 5-0 Houston.
Well, he's given up first pitch hits in this inning, but not only on fastballs. That was a slider. He's given up first pitch hit on a breaking ball, the double by Chris Johnson. So it's not like he's just throwing fastballs in there. He's mixing the pitches up, but right now the Astros are seeing it coming out of his hand very clearly. Dusty Baker on the verge of making a move here. Maybe once he finds out if Alfredo Simon is ready down there in the bullpen. They've sent Mesoraco out to buy some time, and Dusty will make a long, slow walk to the mound to make a pitching change.
Early departure here for the right-hander Mike Leake. You take a look back. The shortest stint of his career was 3 2/3 against Houston last year on May the 3rd. And he is going to go 3 2/3 again here today against Houston and depart in the 4th inning of this game. Reds make a pitching change. Alfredo Simon in, part of our skyline call to the bullpen. AT&T trivia question. Joe Morgan finished second in 65 Rookie of the Year voting. Who won the award, Chris?
Well, former Reds hitting coach Jimmy Lefevre. And if you want to know what he played on Gilligan's Island, he was a cannibal on Gilligan's Island, and he was one of the Joker's henchmen on the Batman series.
And Joe finished second that year as a member of the Houston Ball Club. So there's your tie-in that you were talking about earlier. Joe in the house tonight. He was down in the clubhouse prior to the game.
Yeah, you know, and the weird thing is that Jim Lefevre that year, he won the Rookie of the Year. You know what he hit that year?
No.
He hit 250. 12 home runs, 69 ribeyes, and that was enough for the Rookie of the Year.
Alfredo Simon appearing for the 7th time as a member of the Reds. Runner going and safe at second base. This aggressive Houston team. Schaefer gets his 7th of the year.
Well, that was a cinch that Jordan Schaefer is going to go sometime and probably early in this at bat. When you've got 2 outs, you might as well not wait till you got deep in the count and put the hitter in a hole. Schaefer picks up stolen base number 7. He's a very fleet-footed runner.
Simon trying to get this game into the bottom of the 4th inning with the Reds now down 5-0. He last worked against the Cubs up in Chicago last Saturday, so almost a week since he's been out there. Allowed an unearned run in 2 innings in that game. In fact, he has gone 5 straight innings, 3 games without allowing an earned run.
I got to tell you, Jim Kelch, looking at the stats of that 1965 year, I think I would like to have a recount if I'm Joe Morgan. He had a better year. He had 271 compared to 250, had 14 home runs compared to 12, and only knocked in 40, but man, oh man.
Down the right field line. That's going to be in for extra bases. Scoring is Schaefer from second base. Double by Altuve. He has a triple and now a double tonight with a pair of runs batted in. That run will close the book on the starter Mike Leake, and it is now a 4-run inning and a 6-0 game in favor of the Astros.
Boy, how things can change in just about 24 hours. Yesterday, right in that 9th inning, the Reds were on the verge of sweeping the San Francisco Giants. They had the lowly Houston Astros coming into town. Astros only won 56 games last year. They lost over 100. In fact, they lost 106 games, and you thought, man, oh man, you're gonna have a good chance of sweeping. And now you look up in the 4th inning, you're down 6-0. Not at all what Dusty Baker anticipated when he saw this series get underway.
That rolls a pass ball on Devin Mesoraco that allows Altuve to go to third. Mike Leake will give up 6 runs, 5 earned, 7 hits in this game. His ERA at the start of the day was .650. I look back at that. Nothing's been announced as of yet, but I want to correct myself and say 6 runs, I believe 4 earned against Mike Leake.
That's what I've got.
Those last 2 runs in this inning.
And anything else that comes in.
Right. Or the runs by Bogusevic and Johnson. Now it's 3-1. Flying into the stands beyond the third base dugout of the Astros. Young man paying attention down there. Got himself a nice souvenir. See if they do a little swapping.
Man, that bat really, what he wants to now, JD Martinez wants to trade one for it.
Young man on top of his game right there.
Now that what they're going to do with that bat, they're going to take it and put it in customer service up there until after the ball game so that fan can grab it on the way out.
He can't be wielding lumber in the stands.
Well, might foul somebody off.
Excellent point. Rolling charges. Double pumps, but gets his man Martinez at first base. And the inning comes to an end, but Houston scores 4 times and takes a 6-0 lead in this game. Reds live set for Sunglass Sundays. 100 people will receive a free pair of sunglasses courtesy of Fox Sports Ohio and Ride Smart. Sunglass Sundays coming up right at the Reds live set on the third base concourse. They don't look like those. They don't look like those, although closer to those. He'll get a good look at him on Sunday.
Are you going to wear yours at night?
I sometimes wear my sunglasses at night. Especially if they're new. Wandy Rodriguez staked to a 6-0 lead as he works here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Stubbs leading it off.
How about that? You get a 4 spot on your favor, and you go out there as a control pitcher that Wandy Rodriguez is, and he goes 3-0 to the first hitter. You'd love to see a leadoff walk here.
Give you that final line on Mike Leake. It was even different than I had corrected. 3 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 3 earned against Mike. No walks, 1 strikeout. At 3-1, Stubbs hits it well, but playable as Bogasevic handles it for out number 1. Wandy Rodriguez now has set down 7 in a row since he gave up the hit to Phillips back in the second. Here's Joey Votto. Joey been on base 10 straight games in 18 of the 19 games in which the Reds have played this year. Reds trying to make their way back in this, the first game of this 3-game series. Tomorrow here a 4:10 start. Johnny Cueto against Lucas Harrell. And then Sunday afternoon at 1:10, Matt Latos against Bud Norris. See how well he has done against this Houston ball club, over 350. And he's done well against this pitcher, over 300 in his career, Wandy Rodriguez. Brandon Phillips waits on deck. During that Reds pitching change, when Leake left, Simon came on. Phillips went back into the dugout again to get what looked like to be further treatment on his thumb, his right thumb.
Where Rodriguez really, he can spot that fastball, and he's not one bit afraid of throwing that ball inside, whether it's to a right-hander or a left-hander. He comes right in on the hands of Joey Votto with that fastball. Opens up the plate now. He can go back outside with a fastball or a breaking ball. Going to go outside again. Same sequence he used to strike out Jay Bruce. You know, it's interesting because if you look at Rodriguez this year compared to last year, now this year a little bit of a small sample size, but his walks are down and his strikeouts are down. He's getting a lot more ground balls than he ever has. And so far this year, in covering 28 innings, he has yet to give up a home run.
Gives up his first walk of the night here. It's to Joey Votto, the National League leader in walks, his 19th. Reds trying to make their way back against this Houston club. Phillips a single to right his first time. Well, it was his home run that set the tone in that Tuesday night game, that 9-2 win over San Francisco in the first inning against Matt Cain, who had come into that game with 18 consecutive shutout innings going. He has a pair of long ones and 6 runs batted in this year. Now he's got a banged up thumb. He's got that strained hamstring that slowly but surely is getting better. He stays in the lineup. Rodriguez will get it and throw Phillips out, although Brandon made it much closer than it could have been. Tim McClellan waited an instant and then made a dramatic out call, much to the chagrin of the crowd.
Yeah, he was definitely out. Rodriguez made it closer than it really should have been, because when he fields his ball, he kind of turns the wrong way and looks like he's almost nonchalanting it. But he got Brandon just before Brandon's able to put his foot down on the bag. Bang, bang, man, oh man, 1/2 step faster, and the Reds have 2 on and 1 out.
Here's Ryan Ludwig. Votto moved up on that. It does the job of a sacrifice. It gets the runner into scoring position. And now Ludwig, who has had good success against his left-hander Wandy Rodriguez in his career, 344 with 11 hits coming into this game. Steps in there now. He struck out his first time. Rodriguez has walked 1, struck out 5, giving the Reds a couple of hits. Now Ludwig will look at a 3-1 pitch. Weekend matchup at Busch Stadium, St. Louis. Milwaukee and the Cardinals. Milwaukee gets a run in the first. They lead that game 1-0. Ludwig hits it hard, but at the shortstop, Lowry, who will throw the Reds left fielder out, and the inning comes to an end. The Reds have stranded 2 and trail 6-0 after 4. by Major League Baseball do you like better? These moves made in the offseason, adding a second wild card, or the Astros being moved to the American League West. Which one of those moves do you like better? Text 1 or 2 to 37664. Message and data rates do apply. We'll have the results a little bit later on. Brad Mills' ball club out of the AL West in 2013, evening up the American and the National League at 15 teams apiece. Matt Downs gets things started here in inning number 5. Only Astro that did not come to the plate in that 4-run 4th inning. He's 0 for 2, twice hit the ball to right field. Thinking back, the last team to change leagues was the Milwaukee Brewers. They did that in 1998.
It's about the same time they changed stadiums too. How many years are they playing Oak County Stadium as the Brewers? I mean, as the National League Brewers. Maybe a couple of years.
Well, we know they were in there in 2000. That's when the Reds had to go up there late. You remember that? You were up there.
Yeah. Boy, that was a
couple of years after that.
Yeah.
Joel Luckup will find that for us.
And they've been selling out that place just about ever since.
Roland cuts that ball off and throws dead on at first base to get Downs for out number 1.
You know, some guys in your infield, they feel the ground ball, and you still find yourself holding your breath.
Sure.
Until they throw the ball across the infield and the out is made. You don't have that feeling with Scott Rolen. I mean, when the ball is down there and you see that he's able to glove it, you're almost writing it in the book already. That's how automatic Rolen has gotten to be over all the years.
So they played, talking about Milwaukee, Chris, 3 years in Oak County Stadium until they opened up Miller Park in 2001. And remember, it was supposed to open in 2000, and they had that horrible accident up there.
Yeah, they did.
The crane accident.
That crane, I think called Big Blue, wasn't it?
I think it was. That collapsed.
Yeah.
They were the wild card team, Milwaukee, in 2008, and that's really when their attendance started to turn around. Now they're game in, game out, averaging in the mid-30s. Continue to do that again this year. Jed Lowry, a double to start the 4th inning against Leake. He shot that ball to the left of Stubbs out in center, and despite his speed, he could not cut it off. Alfredo Simon closed with Baltimore a couple of years ago. He had, 16 saves with them. Claimed him right at the end of spring training. Another solid shot into center field by Jed Lowry, the former Red Sox player. Now 2 out of 3 in this game. That will be Brian Bogusevic.
Now they're 1 away, the Astros are, from their 12th double-digit hit game in 20. That's getting a lot of pretty good swings up there.
They started the day at 262 as a team, 338 on base percentage. Come for the Reds, stay for more fun. Visit the new exhibit, A Day in Pompeii at Cincinnati Museum Center. Make it a weekend getaway. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. Nice gathering here on this Friday night, April the 27th. They're hoping for some more late inning heroics in this game, like folks who were here on Wednesday night were able to watch the Reds get 4 in the bottom of the 7th and win 4-2. They'll need a little bit more than that tonight, trailing 6-0.
Well, they've got a good crowd here. This will be a nice night to play tough, grab a couple of runs a little bit at a time and get right back into it. But you've got to hold them right here first. Simon will throw really 3 pitches. He'll throw a cutter on his fastball, but he doesn't throw that very often. He throws a fastball, a splitter, and a curveball. I got to figure that the Reds were rather surprised to see Simon available on the waiver wire at the end of spring training. I mean, after all, he, as you mentioned, was a closer, has closer stuff, very good fastball. And he'll give you a lot of service, a good serviceable innings. I talked to a number of scouts when the Reds signed Simon, and he thought this young man would be a pretty good pitcher for him if you use him in the right spots.
He's the one who bumped Todd Frazier in effect off the roster when the Reds went back to 12 pitchers on opening day and 13 position players. Dusty and Walt had decided really to go with 11 pitchers and 14 position players, but the last moment they acquired Simon. That sent Frazier down to Louisville. Todd is here now. Miguel Cairo on the DL.
Well, he needs a strike right here.
Can't get it. He walks his first, and that's the leadoff out. Single by Lowry, walk to Bogasevic. He's now been on 3 times. Two on, 1 out for Chris Johnson. The move the Astros made last year when they sent both Johnson and Brett Wallace, their corner infielders, down to AAA Oklahoma City, making room for the number 2 and 3 hitters in their lineup tonight, Jose Altuve and J.D. Martinez. They just didn't feel like they were getting the best out of these two and thought they needed a wake-up call.
I imagine over the next few years you're going to see a lot of changes on this Houston Astros team. I would imagine the personnel on the playing roster might change. There's speculation that the manager and the coaches may change. New ownership has taken over, and I think they're going to bottom out before they end up rebuilding this thing.
Cozart looks for the out at third and gets it as Roland took the throw. They get the force out on Lowry. It goes 6-5.
Smart play by Zach Cozart right there. The ball was hit very slowly. Wasn't going to get a double play, so you want to get the lead runner if at all possible. So it's also a smart play by Roland. I mean, if you're just standing there as a third baseman, you're not in position at the bag. So, you know, heads up to all those young guys out there playing the infield, watching this ball game. You know, go to your bag if you're an infielder and you see a ball in play like that. Because you standing there in your own position is not going to do your team any good. So they do get the lead out.
Yeah, and you saw him, Chris, which is a veteran move that he gives you all the time. A little bit off to the left of the bag to give Cozart a target to throw to.
Got to keep the throwing lane open. Well, you can learn so much from watching Scott Rowland play.
Now they try to get Castro and get through this inning. Left-handed hitting catchers 1 for 2 with an RBI. Mentioned he missed all of last year. Injury that had him eventually undergo surgery. Right knee. Former first-round pick out of Stanford. Alfredo Simon on in relief of Mike Leake. Leake went 3 2/3, allowed 6 runs, 7 hits, 3 of the runs earned with a strikeout. Today marks the 20th game of the year, and so the Reds have not missed a start amongst their original 5 in the rotation. All of them have now made 4 starts. Cueto will make his 5th tomorrow. Stubbs will settle under this ball hit by Castro, and he does to end the inning. A walk, a hit, but 2 men left. 5 stranded now by Houston. Game with Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing here on Fox Sports Ohio. Everything you need to know for that evening's game, only on your exclusive home of the Reds, right here, Fox Sports Ohio. In the homestand, Jim Day, Jeff Porcaro. They've got it all hooked up for you. Tomorrow they'll come your way at 3:30. The game is at 4:10. Sunday they'll bring it to you beginning at 12:30. The game at 1:10. That young man, we need to make him happy. I know it would get him going, a run or two. Reds down 6-0 here in the bottom of the 5th. I did not see his 8x10 commemorative print of the 10,000th franchise victory given to the first 10,000 before the game tonight. Maybe it was rolled up underneath the seat. That was a giveaway this evening. 8x10 print commemorating that 10,000th win that came in Chicago during the last homestand. Howie will throw rolling out for the first out here in the bottom of the 5th. Scott is now 0 for 2. Batter will be Jay Bruce.
Yeah, Wandy Rodriguez is one of those very underrated left-handed pitchers around the National League. Since the year 2009, his earned run average is second only to Clayton Kershaw. He's got a lower earned run average than Cliff Lee over that period of time. So, I mean, he is one of the best there is around.
That's It's going to drop in front and a base hit for Jay Bruce.
He may want that baseball. That is his only second hit in 28 at-bats against Wandy Rodriguez.
Didn't hit it overly well, but it dropped in. It counts for a base hit. Struck out his first time against him. Looked like hit it right off the end of the bat, didn't it? So you work hard at it long enough, have a little success.
Well, you know, you hit enough line drives right at him, some of those have to fall in.
So there's a start. 1 on, 1 out. Mesoraco called out on strikes his first time. Todd Frazier, who's been great as a pinch hitter, stands on deck to bat for Simon. Bogusevic calling, and he has it for the second out. So here's Frazier, who's 3 for 3 as a pinch hitter so far with the Reds. Pinch hit triple and a double in Chicago. And he pinch hit in this series. That was on Wednesday and had a pinch hit single. So 3 for 3 as a pinch hitter. He bats for Simon. Goes an inning and a third. Reds will have a new pitcher come the 6th inning. J.J. Hoover made his big league debut a couple of days ago, warming in the bullpen. That ball hit well. That'll be a gap shot on the bat of Frazier. He's now 4 for 4 as a pinch hitter. He's going to get a run batted in, and he hustles over to third, and that throw went all the way into the plate to the catcher Castro. How about Todd Frazier? He gets this crowd on its feet with a pinch hit double. Goes to third on that throw. They're going to give him a triple.
They're going to give him a double probably, but what a heads-up base running play by Frazier. First of all, they can't get this guy out. I mean, he's hitting ropes all over the ballpark. That a breaking ball that he takes the other way. And Frazier's coming around second base, and as he does, he looks at that relay player, the guy that gets the relay from the outfield, and he sees him turn and throw to home. Frazier never stops, waltzes on into third, and now he's 90 feet away from scoring the third run of the game for the Reds.
They're going to credit him with a triple. His second triple of the year. And he gets the run batted in. How about 4 for 4? Off the bench for Frazier. Todd gets his second RBI. Cozart will try to get him home.
See, he's watching the fielder, and as soon as that relay guy gets the ball, then he goes to third. So that's just a great heads-up play. You want to give him credit for a triple, that's fine with me. But that's just a good bit of base running, savvy base running by the young Red.
Cozart in the game is 1 out of 2. Reds on the board now here in the bottom of the 5th with a chance for another one. Cozart can come through. attempted a shot down there on the third base side, but wide of Chris Johnson, their third baseman. Cozart in the leadoff spot for the Reds for the 8th time this year. Early in the year, he was number 2 behind Phillips. Brandon now in the cleanup spot. Oh, Cozart hit it hard, but Johnson reaching out to his left. Took a hit and a run, batted it away from the rookie shortstop, ending the bottom of the 5th, but the Reds are on the board. One in the bottom of the 5th inning against Wandy Rodriguez on the pinch hit triple by Todd Frazier. Let's go back and take a look at our Meyer text poll. We asked you the question earlier, which of these moves did you like better in the offseason, adding a second wild card or the Astros move to the AL West? Close, but adding a second wild card team wins out 53 to 47%. Now here's your chance to win a Fox Sports Ohio Meyer prize pack. Text Meyer to 37664 to be entered. Good luck. Would you concur with that, Chris? Do you like the adding of the second wildcard team better?
Well, yeah, I do like the adding of the second wildcard team, but I have grown fairly accustomed to the Westin Galleria. I spent like about 4 months of my life, I think, in that place.
Half
right
your suits have come from that gallery.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only mall we visit every year, Jim, that has a skating rink.
Right.
So this is the year I'm going to see you out on ice skates doing the figure eight and the pirouette.
You know,
all the other things.
High school hockey player, you know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, let's get out there and
strap them on, baby.
Yeah, let's do it. I find something new about you every night.
Yeah, well,
that's a good one.
When we spend 17 years together like you and George, you'll know me just as well as you knew George.
That's a scary thought.
New pitcher J.J. Hoover made his big league debut in the Giants series, and boy, he was thrown into a hot spot, wasn't he?
He really was. He came in a very tight ball game, 2-0 game at the time. He had availed himself very well. That was part of the game where the bullpen pitched 4 innings and did not give up a run.
It was raining at the time. The mound was a little bit slick. He walked the first batter he faced, Emmanuel Burris, but he got a little help on a bunt in that inning by Zito. Gets the strikeout here. His numbers down at Louisville show him, and really his numbers in the Braves organization show him as being a strikeout pitcher.
Well, he was a starter in most of the time that he spent in the Braves organization. Like most organizations do, they take their best arms and they put them in a starting role. But eventually he got bumped out of the starting rotation in minor leagues because the Braves just had so many very good pitching prospects. And his stuff matches up very well. And that's a 94-mile-an-hour fastball right there. But to a hitter, it even seems faster. Talking to David Bell, the manager of the Bats, when he was on his way up here, Hoover that is, he said, you know, the hitters just don't see it that well. Nasty breaking ball right there. Drafted by the Braves, 10th round, 2008, out of Calhoun Community College in Alabama. You know, it doesn't look like he throws the type of fastball that has a lot of movement or that sinks, but it's a type of fastball that doesn't sink very much at all, and you're going to see hitters swinging underneath it a lot, especially when it's up in the zone.
On a breaking ball there, it's hit hard to left, but Ludwig corrals it for the second out.
Throwing strikes, you got to like that.
And that has been, as you look at his numbers, been somewhat of an issue, hasn't it, with walks?
Well, yeah, and there are some people who crunch minor league numbers and they think that they're going to extrapolate exactly at the major league level. Sometimes a pitching coach can work out a kink in a young man's delivery and get his control underway.
And he did say, when he was asked about it early on here, he absolutely loved working with Ted Power and wished he'd had a little bit more time with him.
Well, up and down the Reds organization, they've got, at least in my estimation, some of the best pitching and hitting coaches, but especially pitching coaches that you can put together. And, you know, when you go from Ted Power at AAA up here to Brian Price, Mac Jenkins, I mean, you're getting the best of the best.
And Tom Brown in the minor leagues. You have Regal Beltran in the minor leagues. Mark Riggins now has taken over as that pitching coordinator in the minor leagues, a former Cubs pitching coach.
And then he was former pitching coordinator for the Cardinals. Pretty good inning right there for young JJ.
Nicely done indeed. 1-2-3 frame that includes a couple of strikeouts for young Mr. Hoover. Sports Ohio, interviews from the players. Manager Dusty Baker gives his thoughts on what just happened. That's Reds Live post-game, brought to you by King's Honda and the King's Auto Mall. Visit King'sHondaUSA.com. Stubbs leads things off, and he shoots one up the middle on a base hit. Drew is now 1 out of 3. He gets the 5th Reds hit of the game, and Stubbs now has hit in 5 in a row, 11 of his last 12. He's aboard to start the home 6th. You know, we didn't see it that much, Chris, in spring training, but it seems like in the last 2 weeks or even maybe 10 days, he's really taken that early strike approach to heart. Drew Stubbs.
Yeah, I talked to Dusty Baker about that, and I asked him what difference do you see in Stubbs, and he sees the same swing and the same guy at the plate, but that he's more aggressive early in the count. And, you know, some guys just simply aren't comfortable getting 2 strikes on him.
Here's Joe. He's been on once with a walk. You know, our AT&T trivia question earlier was Joe Morgan finished 2nd in 1965 in Rookie of the Year voting. Who finished first?
Well, he knows the answer to that because he's standing right here, but I want to know from Joe Morgan, how did you not win?
Yeah.
I mean, he hit 250, or you didn't get the vote. Would you have voted for yourself? Well, I'd like a demand a recount, Joe. How's that?
Oh, you did. You won the players' vote. Hall of Famer Joe Morgan in the booth between Chris and I here in this 6-1 game. So back in those days, there was a players vote, Joe, as well, and you won that.
Yeah, the players voted. The Sporting News Rookie of the Year and whatever. I got this big trophy at home or whatever. But the Sporting News voted me the Rookie of the Year. The players did. But the writers voted for Jim Lefevre.
That was back in the old Colt 45 days.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Where'd you play your games that year?
Actually, the first year I played in the big leagues was the first year at Astros. But I played as a Colt 45, you know, when they brought us up at the end of the year. And it was an uncomfortable place to play.
Really?
That stadium, man, it was mosquitoes, heat. It was ugly.
And what was, I've always been curious about this, what was the players' reaction back in those days to the Astrodome?
Yeah. Well, remember when they first opened it, they used grass, regular grass. They didn't have AstroTurf, and that was awful because it was all skin up. You know, it was like going back to Little League playing on skin diamonds. And it was, ground balls were an adventure. I mean, ground ball hit towards you, didn't know what it was going to do, or it was wiggle. It was a whole different thing. And the reason was they couldn't get enough sun to come through, you know, to grow grass in there. So that someone invented AstroTurf. That's how it started, right there in the Astrodome. And then they put it in a lot of the other fields, you know, so they could play football on it.
Joe, what do you think about this Astro team running the way they have tonight? I mean, they're among the league leaders in attempted stolen bases now. And, you know, the Reds team, who seemingly in spring training they ran a little bit, but they don't seem to be taking that over into the regular season.
Remember, when you do not have a lot of power, you have to do those things, and it's fun. I love to watch that, as you know. Yeah. Being blunt with you, I thought the Reds, you know, in 2010, they were kind of like that, you know, running a lot. You know, it's that baseball is a funny game. When you're not hitting and doing things, it doesn't allow you to take all those chances. But when you're the Astros, you're not going to win if you don't take those chances, you know what I mean? So they have to do that. Obviously, you know me, I'm a proponent of running and doing all those things anyway. So, and I think we will as the season goes along.
Now, if you're down 5 runs in this inning, is it too big of a spread to run, or
I don't think so. I don't think so personally, but again, I'm not.
Right.
You know, I just believe that you keep playing your game. because you get a little complacent sometimes waiting for the 3-run homer.
All right, now Drew Stubbs was picked off, at least thrown out, caught stealing by Rodriguez going over there. Would that keep you from trying it again the rest of the game?
I think it would when you're down 6-1. It wouldn't keep me from doing it, but when you're 6-1, it might, Dusty may say, I don't want to take a chance right now. And, as you know, a lot, you being left-handers can stop some of that sometimes,
Now, Joe, you travel with the team every now and then, and are you going to miss not going down to Houston and watching that team play down there? They're going to go to the American League?
Yes, it's actually, it's one of the things I dislike about, what is happening in baseball now. A lot of positive things are happening, but that's one of the negatives for me because Houston has been in the National League for 50 years.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you're going to be in the American League. I'm not happy with that. Most of the people in Houston aren't that happy with it. No one wanted to do it, but I guess it was just a situation they had no choice.
Yeah, there was even talk down there during the winter about possibly changing the name. Remember, taking the Astros name away.
Yeah.
But luckily, better heads prevail.
Yeah.
Votto working over Wandy Rodriguez here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Wasting a lot of pitches trying to get one that he likes.
Well, you can see why Joey Votto is such a good hitter against left-handers, because he doesn't allow himself to be fooled by that breaking ball. And he'll foul off what seems like good hitting fastballs, but because he's waiting for something maybe to drive the other way. He'll work you. Even when he's not seeing the ball good and his timing's not great like right now, he'll still work you.
The 11th pitch now, this at bat to Votto from Rodriguez.
Well, every time Rodriguez has come up and in like that to a hitter, you would think the next pitch would be a breaking ball. Well, what he's throwing is a low outside fastball. He did it to Jay Bruce and struck him out. He did it his last at bat to Votto. Votto eventually walked. Wonder if he'll change it up here.
Stubbs on the move. Joey struck out in the first, actually called out, walked back in the 4th.
I don't know about you, Chris, but one of the things I think has changed over the years has been that left-handed pitchers do not throw, in my opinion, enough breaking balls to left-handed hitters. It seems they want to go in and then out, use the fastball. I think the breaking ball is the difference. That's what makes left-handed pitchers tough on left-handed hitters, because they don't see that ball going away from them enough. Being a left-handed hitter, you don't face that many left-handed pitchers. The ball going away from you is always the toughest one to hit.
Yeah, there aren't that many lefties that are good at hitting that pitch.
Right.
I think Votto is one of the rare guys that is, but Bruce, for instance, isn't nearly as good at hitting that breaking ball moving away from him as Votto is. You're right.
Well, Votto's unusual. You're talking, a unique individual. He handles all pitches because, as you say, he waits longer. There it is.
Hammers this ball to the alley in left center field. Speed out there by Schaefer. He cut that ball off, but that's not going to stop Drew Stubbs as he scores all the way from first. Run-producing double Joey Votto. Boy, he loves to go that way.
Well, that's exactly what Chris was talking about, though. He waits, he fights off the ball inside. It looked like even a little breaking ball out over the plate. Yeah, a little breaking ball out over the plate.
That's got to be such a gratifying at bat for a left-handed hitter like Joey Votto. I mean, he fouled off so many pitches. He stayed alive. He spoiled so many good ones by Rodriguez. And I can tell you as a pitcher, that's kind of a defeating at bat, because you've worked and worked and worked. You've thrown enough pitches to retire 3 batters, and what you end up doing is giving up a double. And there's Joey Votto, safe at second, safe and secure.
New York life. Meanwhile, a visit from the dugout. Brad Mills making his way to the hill here. Reds were down 6-0, now down 6-2. We're talking over with Wandy Rodriguez and the entire Astros infield. Votto's RBI is 11th of the year. Here comes the home plate umpire out, Marvin Hudson. Joe, there's always the talk about left-handers versus left-handers, and that you really have to concentrate more. Is that the case, or is that a misnomer?
No, I think you do. I think it forces you to, because, as Chris was saying, you don't want to pull off the breaking ball, so you stay back through the middle, which lets you concentrate more. And you have to make sure you see the ball before you move, and then go back through the middle with it. So it's going to sound funny, but if I had to get a base hit to win a World Series or anything like that, I'd like to face a left-handed pitcher. Not Sandy Koufax now, but a normal left-handed pitcher, because it would make me concentrate, stay back through the middle, and I think that's when I was at my best.
Well, let's see if Brandon can drive home Joey Votto. Nobody out in the inning. Single by Stubbs, RBI double by Votto.
All right, Joe, you're down by 4. Brandon's up here, man on second, nobody out. Are you still just trying to move the runner over, or are you just trying to drive the ball somewhere?
I think if you got a slugger up there, you let him go ahead and try to slug. But to me, Brandon's just a good hitter, and I would hope that he'd move him in some shape or fashion. Obviously, you want him to get a base hit, but I would hope that he would move him. Because if you're only down 6-3 after 6 innings or less than that, you got a chance.
Well, he's got the right side of the infield wide open. Second baseman Altuve is pulled around towards the bag to try to keep Joey Votto close. That's the spot I'm talking about right there.
Right. And automatically, the left-hander's ball tails away from you, which gives you a chance to go that way if you want to. And he seems to be pitching him away.
Astros with double barrel action in the bullpen. Lefty Abad just called up. Right-hander Lopez, Wilton Lopez.
Pretty good 2-0 pitch right there. If you're thinking about fastball on a 2-0 count, maybe taking the ball the other way, and you drop that old dewdrop in there, that's a good one just to take.
You know, that's the difference between guys hitting in AAA and hitting in the big leagues. Right there, 2-0, that's a fastball, and the AAA hitter would probably hit it hard someplace. Big leagues, they don't allow that.
Rodriguez is one of those throwbacks. He's a guy that really only uses 3 pitches: fastball, curveball, changeup. You don't see too many anymore that do that. A lot of guys are throwing cutters and splitters and all sorts of stuff, and before you know it, they're throwing 5 or 6 pitches up there
and not controlling the ball.
Yeah.
Patience up there by Phillips, and the end result, a walk. Second given up by Rodriguez. Reds have something cooking here now in the 6th inning.
Wandy Rodriguez is making it awfully tough on Brad Mills right now, maybe forcing him to make a decision. Doug Brocail, the pitching coach, on the phone down the bullpen to find out if either of the pitchers they've got up is ready to go. But I would think that right now Brad Mills is thinking, hey, Wandy Rodriguez is my best guy. He's my most experienced, and I'm going to at least give him one more hitter.
Ludwig has grounded out and struck out. We mentioned earlier he's had decent success against the left-hander Rodriguez in his career, upwards of 300. Single by Stubbs, RBI double Votto. Phillips walked on 5 pitches. Wandy Rodriguez closing in on 100 for the night, sitting at 95. Reds have scored once in this inning, scored once in the 5th. Have 2 on with nobody out. Bogusevic coming on, and the right fielder makes the catch. So that's the first out. Batter will be Scott Rowland. Home run Wednesday, home run Thursday for Rowland.
He threw with all off-speed pitching, not one fastball.
Will he do the same to Rowland?
No, well, I think Rowland's a better off-speed hitter. I think he'll mix his pitch a little bit more with Rowland.
He's lined to second and grounded to short. 0 for 2 in this game. Scott continues to talk about the better flexibility that he has this year. And there's a shot into the alley in left center field off the bat of Rowland, but going to be run down by Schaefer, and that's going to force Votto and Phillips to return. Boy, he hit that ball right on the screws right there.
I'll tell you what, that young man in center field, he was very impressive when he had a couple of partial seasons with the Atlanta Braves, running balls down in that big outfield they have in Atlanta. This ball looked like it hit that gap all the way, and it hung up there just long enough for the fleet-footed Jordan Schaefer to run it down. And he made that look easy.
Came up a little bit short of the track, but Rowland hit it very well, and now this inning falls on the shoulders of Jay Bruce, who after striking out his first time had a base hit into left his last trip, only the second career hit. 28 ABs against Wandy Rodriguez. Somebody like Rodriguez that you just had the dickens of a time against, Joe?
I didn't have much trouble with off-speed pitchers. I had more trouble with the guys that could throw the fastball inside. You know, the Jerry Kuzmans and Madlacks and those guys. I even hit Steve Carlton pretty good because he threw a lot of breaking balls away.
He's the big slider specialist.
Yeah,
right?
a great slider.
So when you have one guy that has your number, how do you get the monkey off?
I never did. I didn't. And I'm not going to jive with it. I tried everything. I mean, I really did. Madlack, I couldn't hit him, if he was asleep, I mean, he was just that tough on me. And Sparky would never give me a day off. His reasoning was, I don't need you against the easy guys. I need you against the tough guys. He said, you might get a walk, and then you can steal a base.
Sound thinking, right?
Yeah, if I get a walk, yeah, that was my only chance. But no, I mean, I found the guys that I really had trouble with, there was nothing I could do. I tried different things. Of course, you don't let them get you out the same way all the time. But I just could not ever solve John Madlack. And I think it was because I couldn't pick the ball up.
That's been Bruce against Rodriguez in his career, and he strikes him out here again for the second time tonight. Joe, thanks for stopping by. Good to talk to you.
Well, it was 6-1. I thought I'd come give you a break.
All right, Joe. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Fans through the gates on Saturday, May the 12th, to take home your very own Joey Votto bobblehead presented by the Ohio Lottery. This year's bobblehead commemorates Joey's first Rawlings Gold Glove Award For tickets to see the Reds take on the Nationals Saturday, May the 12th, call 513-381-REDS or select Kroger locations or Reds.com. Joey Votto bobblehead, May the 12th. Just over 2 weeks from now. Good start, bad ending in that bottom of the 6th inning for the Reds. First 3 reached, next 3 retired. Roland hit the heck out of the baseball to no avail. Now we move into the 7th. J.J. Hoover back on the hill. He had a 1-2-3 6th. Looking to do the same here in the 7th. 2-0 Houston after 3, 6-0 after 4. Now 6-2. J.D. Martinez, 1 out of 3. Single, run batted in, back into 3rd. Almost looks like, maybe it's just the angle, Chris, that Hoover kind of steps toward first base when he throws.
Yeah, he's a little open with his stride, and that's not a bad thing. He certainly is able to clear his hips that way, but I mean, it might add to a little of the deception that David Bell was talking about, is how with all the hitters that faced him in AAA this year just didn't seem to pick the ball up very well. I'll tell you another guy that steps a little bit in the same direction that J.J. Hoover does is Nick Massett. Well, we've only had a couple of quick looks at J.J. Hoover, but I really like what I see.
He walks Martinez to start the 7th inning. Second walk given up by Reds pitching tonight. Alfredo Simon, a walk, 2 hits, and 1 1/3 following the starter Mike Leake. Hoover's second inning here, and his last. Hopefully he can get through this. He's due up second in the bottom of the 7th inning. Reds have further action down in their bullpen. This is Matt Downs. Downs took over early for Carlos Lee. In fact, in the bottom of the 1st inning, Lee turned his left ankle on a low throw from Johnson. Ball bounced off his glove. He went to his right to try to get it, and when he planted that left foot, the ankle gave way. He left the game. Downs came in. Downs is 0 for 3. Here's that play earlier we were talking about, 1st inning. Now watch Lee here. Plant and an ugly turn of the left ankle. Cozart credited with a hit, and that was the first batter on the bottom of the 1st inning. Downs, one of the best pinch hitters in Major League Baseball a year ago. Not doing as well this year. There's one. Wide throw by Phillips, and Downs is aboard with 1 man out.
That was not a double play because J.D. Martinez went very hard into second base. All the way around the horn it goes, and it gives Martinez a chance to maybe upset the throwing motion there of Brandon Phillips. Just the anticipation sometimes of that big guy coming in on you at second base is enough to just get you off your stride.
So here's Jed Lowry.
Martinez in there trying to tell his teammates what J.J. Hoover has. He was describing J.J. Hoover's fastball as kind of one that kind of rides right up on you. Mike Barnett, Astros hitting coach.
Talking about a former first-round pick of the Houston Astros out of Stanford earlier. That was Castro. Here's another former first-round pick out of Stanford, but by Boston, Jed Lowry. Lowry actually started the season on the disabled list, had a right thumb injury, missed the first 6. Marwin Gonzalez, who went on the paternity list today, allowing Brad Bixler to be called up, started at the shortstop spot those first 6. Well, at least in the time being, it looks like Houston got the better of that trade with Boston. Melanson pitching so poorly, they eventually sent him down to their AAA team at Pawtucket. They originally made that trade. There was thoughts that Melanson was going to be the guy that closed for Boston.
You know, he threw the ball pretty well last couple of years for the Houston Astros. He of the former New York Yankee, and then a big curveball he had. Of course, the Astros got 2 players, not only Jed Lowry, but they also got pitcher Kyle Wheeland, who went on the disabled list.
Right shoulder soreness.
But he was throwing the ball pretty well as a starter for Brad Mills' Astros until he, just out of kind of a protective measure, they put him on the DL. They don't think there's any major problem with his shoulder. They just didn't want to take a chance.
And he was the guy that was initially supposed to start tonight.
I guess it's Weiland, right?
Weiland.
Okay.
Dove's backpedaling, and he'll get this ball for the second out. That'll bring Brian Bogusevic to the plate. So Hoover now an out away from 2 shutout innings in his second big league game. Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting, healthier products for your menu. That's JTM. Here's Bogusevic, been on 3 times, a hit, an error, and a walk. Trying to keep it 6-2 in favor of the Astros is J.J. Hoover. Funny how things can change for these guys, Chris. He was set to go to AAA Gwinnett this year. Right at the end of spring training, all of a sudden, not only does he change organizations, he goes to AAA Louisville, and now here he is a couple of weeks later in the big leagues. You just never know what's going to happen, do you?
Now, that's why you keep playing along and you play hard when you're in the minor leagues, because, you know, you always feel like you're on audition. And if it's not for your own team and your own scouts evaluating you, it's for somebody else. Somebody's got you marked in their books as a player that they would recommend as acquiring. J.J. Hoover obviously on the list.
Yeah, that heck of a bullpen they have down there in Atlanta. Guys like Hoover and probably some of the other prospects in the pitching ranks in Atlanta system saying, where do we go from here? Same can be said maybe in the Reds ranks at first base and at middle infield now with the long-term deals of Joey Votto and Brandon Phillips.
You keep playing hard.
Toward the bag at second. Nicely done by Zach Cozart. Force out there on downs. Ends the 7th inning for Houston. Nice work by J.J. Hoover. Induction Gala coming up on Sunday, June the 24th. The Duke Energy Convention Center here in downtown Cincinnati, and presented by CincyFavorites.com. The gala will feature appearances and remarks by 2012 inductees Sean Casey, Dan Dreesen, and more. For information on the 2012 Reds Hall of Fame Induction Gala on Sunday, June the 24th, call 513-765-7921 or visit redsmuseum.org today. New pitcher on, Chris, for the Astros. This is Wilton Lopez.
Yeah, he's in his third full season as a reliever for the Astros. 73 games last year, 68 the year before that. So he's a real workhorse and off to a pretty good season so far this year. Very tidy 1.5 earned run average, big high leg kick, decent fastball, very good breaking ball.
Straight change for the Astros. Lopez replaces Rodriguez, batting ninth. Jam shot off the bat there of Mesoraco. He's out 4-3. Here's a look at the numbers on Wilton Lopez so far this year.
You look at the numbers right here, and this is the first one that jumps out right at you, is that 6 strikeouts and no walks. I mean, Wandy Rodriguez has kind of shown himself to be a very good control pitcher, good strikeout to walk ratio, and you can't do any better than what Lopez has done, which is not walk a batter yet this year in 9 games.
Here's Willie Harris. He bats for J.J. Hoover. Harris on the year hitting 103s, 3 out of 29. One of those hits a pinch hit, 1 for 8. Well, what a job, Chris, by J.J. Hoover.
I'll tell you, he makes it look very easy for a young man. You'd never know that he's just breaking into the major leagues. Has good stage presence. Has a good fastball that really does look sneaky. And that breaking ball, once he starts getting a good feel of that, it'll get better and better. He's really going to be something.
Downs will take this himself, and there are 2 men out. I've heard you say that before. I want to talk about when you say a fastball that is sneaky, what makes it sneaky?
Well, I think a lot of different things. Well, number one, Joe Morgan touched on, is that hitters just don't see it come out of your hand easily. The matter, maybe you throw it out of your shirt, and that's what it looks like J.J. Hoover does. When he releases that ball, it looks like it comes right out of his shirt, and it doesn't give the hitter really very good depth perception on it. And another reason it can be sneaky is some guys take longer strides than others, and they're actually a little bit closer to home plate when they release a ball than you would anticipate. So a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, it might be effectively 92 or 93 because he's 4 or 5 inches closer to home because of his delivery. That's what you're really looking for.
Well, you can see J.J. Hoover there in the dugout listening intently to Brian Price.
It's a good idea there.
A couple of things. There they are. Got Bronson Arroyo on one side, Brian Price on the other. That's a fair ball. Johnson throws out Cozart, and the Reds go in order for only the 2nd time in this game. Still down 6-2 after 7. Time moment of the night. How about J.J. Hoover dropping a breaking ball in there on Jose Altuve to end the 6th inning. He went 2 innings tonight. Getting the glad hand in the dugout from Brian Price. There's his line: a walk, 2 strikeouts, no hits, no runs. So he's gone 3 innings of no-run baseball so far in his 2 appearances with the Reds since being called up from Louisville earlier this week. He's a sponge right there, taking it in from Brian Price. New pitcher, meanwhile, Arredondo.
Well, the bullpen's been pretty good so far. Alfredo Simon came in, did a job in an inning and a third. J.J. Hoover for a couple of innings, and now maybe Jose Arredondo can continue that, keep the Reds at least within striking distance.
4th pitcher of the night works to Chris Johnson, the 3rd baseman of the Astros. Castro on deck, then the pitcher spot. '28-year-old Arredondo, his 2nd year with the Reds. Out of the Dominican. I guess if you want to get really technical, this is his 3rd year because he sat out that 1st year after undergoing Tommy John surgery.
That's true, and if you want to get even more particular, you would say that he is from San Pedro de Macorís, which is the same hometown as Johnny Cueto. Somehow these guys went through that town and didn't become shortstops.
That's right. Strike 3 called. Arredondo gets the leadoff batter Johnson here in inning number 8.
And his main breaking ball is that split finger fastball. He just gets right over the top of that pitch, and you see that hump in it. It comes out of the pitcher's hand looking exactly like a fastball, but it comes in there about 8 to 10 miles an hour slower with a break on it. When it's thrown right, there's not a whole lot you can do.
So now it's Castro. Justin Maxwell, an outfielder, waits on deck to bat for Lopez, and so the Astros will have a new pitcher come the bottom of the 8th. Fernando Rodriguez, right-handed. Takes it himself. Saturday night, soccer night in Ohio. The Crew look to even their record when the Vancouver Whitecaps visit Columbus. Dwight Burgess and Duncan Oden bring you all the action tomorrow starting at 7:30 right here on your home of the Crew, Fox Sports Ohio. Now a pinch hitter, Justin Maxwell, bats for Lopez. Lopez goes 1 inning, 3 ground outs, nothing across against him. Astros will employ a new pitcher come the bottom of the 8th.
Justin Maxwell, one of those young Astro players that I was talking about earlier. The Astros find themselves in somewhat of a unique position in as much as they have 2 Rule 5 players on their roster, which means they picked them up off a Major League roster of some other team over the winter, and they have to keep them on the 25-man roster all year long. And they picked up a waiver wire player like Justin Maxwell. So they've got 3 guys that they have to keep in the major leagues or else they lose. And rarely do you even find a team keeping a Rule 5 draftee all year long. It's a very rare occurrence. Usually what happens is somewhere down the road, the receiving team calls the source team and says, hey, can we make a trade for this guy? We want to send him down. The Astros and Brad Mills looking at a very, very young team.
Strikeout there. Nice work by Arredondo. And the inning comes to an end as we head to the bottom of the 8th. Fox Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by CCHMC, Cincinnati Children's in the top 10 for all selected pediatric specialties in U.S. News and World Report's 2010 Best Children's Hospitals, and by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado and your tri-state Chevy dealers. Part of the crowd tonight of just under 30,000, 29,486 on this Friday night. They would love to see a late inning Reds comeback. They'll face their 3rd pitcher.
Well, they may have to they should try to get something going against this 3rd pitcher, Fernando Rodriguez. No relation to the starter, Wandy Rodriguez. Fernando from El Paso, Texas, but you've got the top of the order, or at least near the top of the order, and Drew Stubbs leading off here in the 8th inning.
Stubbs led off the 6th with a hit. He's 1 for 3. Votto and Phillips to follow. 2, 3, 4 in the Reds lineup. Sam LeCure up in the Reds bullpen. He thought that was up and in. Kind of flinched on that pitch, and the call went by Marvin Hudson to their big right-hander. Stubbs at 2-2. Breaking ball that gets away, and Stubbs is going to be aboard. That'll be a strikeout and a wild pitch on Fernando Rodriguez. Drew is on for the 2nd time.
Hey, the Reds are looking for base runners, and it really doesn't matter how you get on right now. You're 4 runs down, and you need to put some runs on the board here in the 8th inning. So what Brad Mills and Doug Brocail think should have been a strikeout and Stubbs going back to the bench. That ball just simply got away from Jason Castro. It looked like it bounced off the thumb of his catching glove and went all the way almost into the Astros dugout.
Well, that has the effect as a leadoff single.
Or a leadoff walk.
Yeah. Stubbs on, held by Downs, and he's going on the first pitch, which Votto swings through. Ball gets by and goes into center off the glove of Lowry, and there's a speedy Stubbs, now only 90 feet away. Stolen base number 4.
Well, Stubbs a bigger lead right there, a higher leg kick by Rodriguez, and that's a play where really that shortstop Jed Lowry ought to get down and just try to block that ball. I mean, it's going to go as an error on the catcher, but it shouldn't. That ball's blockable. Get your body in front of it, keep the runner from going to third. But the Reds get the benefit of it 90 feet away. If I'm the Astros and Fernando Rodriguez, I forget all about Drew Stubbs. His run to me means nothing.
If Joey could launch one here, Phillips would come up and the tying run, and Ludwig would be on deck. I guess that's Joe Morgan philosophy right there, isn't it? He said, I'd run. I don't know if they'll run, but I would run.
Well, you stay out of the double play ball. You put the pressure on the defense like Drew Stubbs did right there. And what do? They imploded through the ball in the center field. He goes from first to third without ever a ball even leaving the infield. So the Astros are going to play back. They're looking for outs at this point. They'll gladly give that run up in exchange for a ground ball out from Joey Votto. Neat contact right here.
RBI double his last time. Walked in the 4th, so he's been on twice, meaning he now, in terms of his on-base streak, 11 games in a row, and 19 of the 20 games in which the Reds have played, he's been in them all. He's been on base in all but one game. He goes the other way with it, but Johnson cuts it off. He looked Stubbs back a couple of times before finally throwing out Votto.
Now that, in addition to hitting the ball right back to the pitcher, the only two places where you hit a ground ball in the infield and do not get the run in. Johnson did a good job right there. He wanted to make sure that Stubbs, as fast as he is, did not take advantage of him just picking the ball up, throwing it to first base, and forgetting all about the runner at third. They're willing to give up the run, but only if necessary.
So here's Phillips, who's 1 for 2 with a walk. Well, the center fielder Schaefer shaded him to go the other way. There's a big old gap out there in left center, and he can get it there.
Young man has a pretty good arm too. Fernando Rodriguez. He was essentially outrighted last year, 2 years ago, by the Angels, and the Astros picked him up on a minor league deal over the winter. Pretty good arm to put on essentially on the waiver wire.
Well, he comes right at Brandon Phillips and gets him on strikes. So 2 men out for Ryan Ludwig. Reds fans join Drew Stubbs in Going Green tomorrow for the 3rd annual PNC Players for the Planet E-Waste Recycling event. Head over to Kroger, located in Hyde Park off Paxton Road, from 10:30 to 11:30 in the morning. Recycle your old electronics, including TVs, VCRs, computers, whatever else you might have. Plus, the first 200 cars will receive 2 tickets to a future Reds game here at GABP while supplies last. For more information, visit Reds.com/appearances. Tomorrow morning, 10:30 to 11:30. Ludwig in this game 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Stubbs struck out to start the inning, but the pitch bounced away from the catcher Castro, and he was able to reach. 1 pitch later, he was standing at third base. A steal and an errant throw from the catcher. He has stayed there as Votto grounded out to third. Brandon struck out. Fernando Rodriguez trying to close the book on the bottom of the 8th. Ludwig chased one in the dirt. They're going to be forced to throw him out, and they do. And so 3 strikeouts in the inning for Fernando Rodriguez, and 9 in the game by Houston pitching. 4-run game. Astros by 4. They've about hit the Reds by 3, but they've led from the third when they put on 2 on the board, and now lead 6-2 as the new pitcher on is Sam LeCure.
Pitcher number 5 on the night for Dusty Baker. He ran out Mike Leake 3 1/3 innings of 7-hit, 3 earned run baseball. Unfortunately, the Astros got 6 overall. Then it's been a very clean night for the bullpen. Alfredo Simon, J.J. Hoover, a couple of innings of shutout baseball there. And now, after Jose Arredondo pitched the 8th inning, Sam LeCure to try to keep a nice clean 9th and keep the Reds within 4. So a slam away. Chris Heisey goes in the left.
A good relief pitching, as you alluded to earlier. Heisey and LeCure flip-flop in the order, so Heisey will be due up 4th in the bottom of the 9th inning, or in the 9 spot. Saw LeCure here on Tuesday against the Giants. 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 innings worth of work. Gave up a 2-run homer to Buster Posey. Reds lost a shutout in that game after taking a 9-0 lead into the 9th inning.
Yeah, that was after. It was kind of an interesting inning, especially the matchup between LeCure and Posey. The inning before, the right-handed pitcher for the Giants, Otero, hit Joey Votto with a pitch, and LeCure went after Posey, and his pitch that evidently went inside missed, although he got a warning from the umpire at that point. And after a few foul balls and a full count, eventually Posey took him deep. So
woke up the folks on the Giants bench, didn't it?
Well, it did wake up the people on the Giants bench, because that's one guy on their team that they don't want anybody to throw at, and they didn't think that what Otero did was intentional. But Sam was an old time. He's a kind of a throwback kind of a player, so he was going to protect the best player on the Reds team who got hit. But you hate to do that, miss, and then give up a home run to the guy.
Boy, oh boy.
There have been some hitters over the history of baseball that had a reputation for guys who you did not want to knock down, because they would get back up, tap the plate, and really muster up some courage and a pretty good swing. Frank Robinson was one of those. Steve Garvey, another guy.
Take a look at our John Merrill hot dog play of the game here in the top of the 9th inning. It occurred back in the 3rd. Jose Altuve with a drive, and that's the one that Bruce dove for. Didn't catch it, didn't stop it, dove right over the ball, went all the way to the wall. It scored Castro with the first run of the game. Altuve would score the second on a hit by J.D. Martinez. That one made it 2-0. That's our John Merrill hot dog play of the game. Speaking of, here's Altuve. He's 2 for 4, double and a triple, a pair of RBIs. Looking ahead to the Reds' 9th, Roland, Bruce, Mesoraco. Anybody gets on Heisey. Phillips going out, Brandon staying with it, and Brandon has it. Mike Leake gave up 2 runs in the 3rd. It was 2-0 Houston after 3, and I guess really, Chris, it comes down to him again. One bad inning, a 4-run 4th that has kind of done this team in tonight.
Well, it did, and it's not only the fault of the starting pitcher Mike Leake. There was some bad defense in that inning, and errors, you said, by Brandon Phillips, some misplays out there, some balls that really should have been played differently. A pass ball was involved in that inning, and that was, of course, after Simon came in. But you know, when you're getting a game pitched against you like Wandy Rodriguez did tonight, it's just one bad inning that could do the whole ball game. You just have to stay away from those big numbers. A 4 spot on the board when your team's not still scoring a whole bunch of runs is a big number.
And Mike didn't pitch the best, but to his defense, 3 of those 4 runs in that inning turned out to be unearned runs.
Yeah, and even the ball out in right field could have been caught. The previous inning, the one we just showed you by Jose Altuve, very close to being caught by Jay Bruce. If that ball's caught, then they don't get anything in the 3rd inning. So things will get better for Mike Leake.
Strike 3 called on Martinez. Another 1-2-3 inning by the Reds bullpen. 3 of them now in the last 4 innings. And that's great work. 5 1/3 shutout by the pen tonight. Todd Frazier pinch hit in inning number 5. He hit this ball well to right center field. Ended up getting a triple out of it and an RBI. So Frazier now 4 for 4 as a pinch hitter as Bruce scored what would be the first Reds run of the game. Todd Frazier 4 for 4 as a pinch hitter this year. Gives us tonight's Nissan drive of the game. Meanwhile, for Houston, another new pitcher on. Lefty just called up, Fernando Abad.
Now 26-year-old from La Romana, Dominican Republic. This left-hander charged now to hold the Astros and try to gain a 6-4, 6-2 win. Abad was in 29 games last year for Houston, 22 the year before. All of those as a reliever.
He works here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Roland leads it off. He's 0 for 3. Abad this year at Oklahoma City, the Astros AAA club, in 5 games, 1-0, 7 1/3 innings, no runs, 6 hits, with a dozen strikeouts. Another blast in the left center field off the bat of Roland, and to the wall, and caught by Schaefer.
Got it.
Wow. He has made 2 running catches against Scott Roland tonight, who absolutely scorched that ball back in the 6th, and he does it again here in the 9th.
He did. He took a hit away, a double from Roland his last time. This he took an extra base hit away as he goes right up against the fence in front of the Reds bullpen. That's one of the better catches that we have seen from an outfielder so far here in this young 2012 season.
Well, I guess if you're Scott Rowling, you take solace in the fact that you have hit the heck out of the ball a couple of times tonight. Not every center fielder is going to get it. Schaefer looks like he might be shaken up a little bit.
Yeah, he may need a bag of ice after this game.
Holding that right rib cage area.
He went in there with his arm up, and you can see, even though it's a cyclone fence, it gives a little bit, but that's a pretty good collision out there.
Bruce 1 out of 3. Schaefer back on this ball near the wall. He's not going to get it. Home run, Bruce. Bruce's 5th of the year and his 2nd hit of the night. He hit 1 yesterday. He hit 3 in the opening series against Miami, and it makes this a 6-3 game here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Well, that ball did not look like it was hit as well as it was. It went way up in the air. Looked like a high fly ball that just kept drifting. And then went about 5 rows back. I'll tell you what, if you can get the ball up.
Like that, line drive to left, and that ball clears the wall. Back-to-back home runs by Bruce and Mesoraco. Devin's 1st of the year, 3rd big league home run, all in this ballpark, and the Reds are back within a pair at 6-4.
These are the first runs that Fernando Abad has given up all year long. Jim, as you said, in Oklahoma City had an unblemished record. But he is no longer in Oklahoma City.
Here's Chris Heisey. Heisey off the bench to come on and play left field. Part of the double switch with LeCure, so this is technically not a pinch hit appearance for him. Almost appears like it for him. This year, 2 out of 3 as a pinch hitter. But again, this is not a pinch hit appearance, but his first at bat of the night. Slow walk to the mound now by Brad Mills.
Yeah, he's trying to buy as much time as he can in the event that he ends up calling somebody in from the bullpen. At the very least, he's going to let the fireworks guy get a chance to reload.
Bruce's 5 home runs. That's the first he's hit this year against a left-hander. Last year, of his 32, 11 came against left-handers. Mesoraco followed with a line drive shot. Abad will leave, and a pitching change by the Astros. We'll see their 5th pitcher of the night. Red showing some life late. Brett Myers comes on to try to save it. against a lefty this year, and his team leading 5th. Made it 6-3 before the fans could settle back in. Mesoraco with a line drive shot that just clears the wall and left. His first of the year.
Well, now that it's a 2-run lead and a save situation, Brad Mills goes to his new closer, Brett Myers. He's been a Houston Astro now. This is his 3rd consecutive season, but the first year he's been placed in the bullpen full time, and the first time he's been given a chance to close out games since he saved 21 for the Philadelphia Phillies back in 2007.
Remember back in those days, Chris, he really wasn't fond of the switch from starting to the bullpen. He seems to have taken to it better now.
Well, he's been a workhorse for the Astros. I mean, he gave them over 200 innings each of the last 2 seasons. He started 33 games in each of the last 2 years. They're going to miss his innings in the starting rotation, but they think that his experience and all can help him more in the bullpen.
Falls behind Heisey here, 2-1. Cozart on deck represents the tying run.
So far for Myers, 3 for 3. He's closed out every save opportunity he has had. Now Myers outpitches that curveball that he's throwing Chris Heisey. And Heisey, of course, would much rather hit the fastball if he had a choice.
Reds down by a 6-0 count after 4. Now down 6-4. And Heisey tied up on that 2-2 is a strikeout victim the second of the night.
Now they stayed with the breaking ball, Myers did. This one breaks down and really catches the inner third of the plate. Heisey just way out in front of it. Our Exmo replay of that breaking ball by Brett Myers, courtesy of Performance Honda.
Last chance now for the Reds is Cozart. He hits it in the air, but Schaefer is there. And the Astros have taken the first game of this series. They hang on. Reds gave it a shot in the bottom of the 9th, but in the end, Myers saves it for Wandy Rodriguez, and the Astros win it by the final score of 6-4 here at Great American Ballpark. We'll come back with more, including the Reds Live post-game show after this.